Becky and I have been friends since kindergarten. She was always prettier and more popular, while I liked to study. By the age of 5, I could already read and write. And since I was bilingual and I also started to learn a third language, I could already speak three languages. Despite all my attempts to learn, she was the one who was always praised. I didn't mind that, as I liked to be in her shadow. Being on the spot made me feel nervous, and I was scared someone would make fun of me. We kept together with each other no matter what, and we also went to the same primary school and then middle school. When we were in high school, Becky started to get really interested in celebrities and influencers. I never really cared about all that. After all, I was the brainy kid. Nothing changed in that department, even at this point. She'd spend hours on Pictogram to study how models pose, and she was practicing those same poses in front of the mirror. She became obsessed with how she looked. No matter how pretty she already was, she was constantly comparing herself to all those models and how one was thinner than her, one had lusher hair. I tried to be a good friend and I supported her, but I also started to worry. I could see that she was building up insecurities, but she didn't want to listen to me. One time, I sat in her room as always, and she was comparing herself again and again. She asked me, how fat was she? Could you believe it? How fat? That question is problematic on its own, but the biggest problem for me was actually the fact that Becky was really slim. She could easily be a model on one of those magazine covers. I told her, Becky, stop being so hard on yourself. You're already beautiful, and I think you're better than all of those models altogether. I didn't expect what would happen next. Becky only looked at me with that cold look in her eyes and said without any kindness in her voice, maybe if you were pretty, you would understand how much physical appearance matters. I felt how her words mercilessly pierced my heart. How could she be so cruel? Yes, I didn't care about how I looked, but I also believed that what mattered most is someone's personality. My friend was always kind, and now she sounded like a monster. I started to cry, and she looked down and sighed. I'm sorry, she said, and continued. I didn't mean that. I think my inner anger took over, and I said something cruel just to hurt you. You're my friend, and I thought you were in my life to support me, but it seems to me that my dreams of becoming an influencer don't matter enough to you. I was shocked. Was I a bad friend all along? I simply didn't want her to feel bad about her body. I kneeled down and hugged her. I felt ashamed of myself, and since Becky said she didn't mean that, I wanted to believe her. However, things didn't go smooth. Becky soon created an account on VicVoc, the most trend-setting app in the world. The entire point of the app was to post funny, cute, or some other short videos that people can share and like. It was a massive producer of virals. Some of the VicVoc vids were going as popular as 100 million views. I was probably the only girl at school who didn't use VicVoc at that time, so obviously I didn't know too much about what's trendy now. As Becky's popularity was on the rise, she started to be surrounded by popular girls, even those who were older than us. One time, I managed to catch her alone and I confronted her about it. Hey, listen, Becky. We've known each other for years, and lately you've stopped hanging out with me. Is everything all right? Becky stared at me with that same cold look and the same tone she'd used that evening. She asked, are you jealous of my new friends? I was surprised. I wasn't jealous of her at all, but since kindergarten, we were always together. Becky, it's not about jealousy. I simply want to be friends like we always have been. But she only laughed and responded, I'm still your friend. I just want to have other friends. And she left. I felt really worried about all of that. I started to feel that maybe I was being paranoid or insecure or projecting my own anxieties onto my friend. However, soon I realized I wasn't. It was a sunny day, and we had our PE class outside. Coach Jenkins ordered us to run around. Becky never trained with us. She had medical documentation that stated that because of her fragile bone structure, she's prone to injuries, and she can only train under the supervision of a well qualified personal trainer. I knew it was on the lie, and that document was written by Becky's dad's friend, but I never revealed her secret. So, as we ran around the training yard, Becky and a few other girls were sitting aside with their phones, and they seemed to have plenty of fun. As I was running next to them, Becky suddenly called me. I looked at her, and I didn't realize that someone quickly put a wheeled bin in front of me. The accident was terrible. I wasn't hurt or anything, but in front of everyone, I fell down the bin. I was stuck in trash from my head down to my waist. Since it was a sunny, hot day, the garbage was rotting quicker and the smell made me sick. As soon as Coach Jenkins helped me get out, I vomited. I was covered in garbage juice and my own vomit. Our coach escorted me back to the locker room where I could take a shower and change. My mom picked me up from school early, but I didn't want to talk to her. I felt so embarrassed because everyone I knew from school saw me. I only hoped that everyone would soon forget. In the evening, I got a short text from Becky that said, "I hope you are better, XOXO." I replied with a long wall of text telling her how anxious I felt after that, and that I was always clumsy, but never that clumsy. All I got in return was Becky leaving me on red. The next day after school, I felt everyone look at me. From a gray goose and unknown to anyone girl, I became weirdly popular, but I felt it wasn't in a good way. People were looking at me. They whispered behind my back. Some of them even giggled as they saw me. I thought that someone told somebody else about my accident, and now a lot of people knew. However, the truth turned out to be worse. When I was changing in the locker room, all the girls kept away from me. As I was always changing rather slow, I was left alone.
Sorry guys. I think I'm